Every so often, the West Coast tech giants are hauled over to the East Coast of the United States for a ritual humiliation at the hands of the US Senate. They land a few punches, they get punched a few times, a few headlines get generated, and you end up with some very powerful people looking pretty uncomfortable, but nothing normally really changes. When it comes to an issue as serious as child abuse, it surely has to. Yesterday, the head honchos of tech giants, including Meta, TikTok, Snapchat and X, appeared in Congress to face questions on the serious harm their products are causing to children. Some of the exchanges were toe-curling, none more so than the moment Mark Zuckerberg, who runs Meta, which is Facebook and Instagram, attempted to explain why some content flagged as child abuse on Instagram somehow remains available to view.
This material wasn't just living on the dark corners of Instagram. Instagram was helping pedophiles find it by promoting graphic hashtags, including hashtag pedwhore and hashtag preteen sex, to potential buyers. Instagram also displayed the following warning screen to individuals who were searching for child abuse material. These results may contain images of child sexual abuse. And then you gave users two choices: get resources or see results anyway. Mr. Zuckerberg, what the hell were you thinking?
All right, Senator. The basic science behind that is that when people are searching for something that is problematic, it's often helpful to, rather than just blocking it, to help direct them towards something that that could be helpful for getting them to get help.
In what, I understand get resources. In what sane universe is there a link for see results anyway?
Well, because we might be wrong.
Well, yeah, you might be. But really, that's the excuse? Surely if there is any risk whatsoever that images of child abuse are being shared, they must be instantly removed. How can any sane person argue otherwise? Senator Lindsey Graham was loudly cheered by watching parents when he said this.
Mr. Zuckerberg, you and the companies before us, I know you don't mean it to be so, but you have blood on your hands. You have a product. You have a product that's killing people.
Well, he has a product that's incredibly popular and it's made him incredibly rich. A lot of people use Facebook very safely and there's no problem with that. It's one of the most successful companies in history. But the people that were cheering there were parents whose children had been victims of horrific exploitation on those platforms or whose children had taken their lives. Well, Mark Zuckerberg made this apology.
Would you like now to apologize to the victims who have been harmed by your product? Show them the pictures. Would you like to apologize for what you've done to these good people?
I'm sorry. Everything that you've all gone through is terrible. No one should have to go through the things that your families have suffered. And this is why we invest so much and are going to continue doing industry-leading efforts to make sure that no one has to go through the types of things that your families have had to suffer.
Well, despite his rather unfortunate tendency to look and sound like an AI-generated lawyer, I do believe Mark Zuckerberg wants his products to be a force for good in the world. And at least he had the decency to turn around and apologise to those parents. He wasn't by any means the only tech giant boss there. They were all there. But he was the one that did that, and credit to him for doing so. This is the way the modern world communicates. It's where we're entertained and educated. Social media. It's integral to our lives. It's not going to go anywhere. It's going to get bigger and bigger. That's exactly why we need to trust that the people in charge of it know what they're doing and do it properly. One thing they're very good at is keeping us safe from content they find distasteful. We might remember the scandal of the Hunter Biden laptop, which disappeared from your Facebook news feed, disappeared from Twitter, it was called then, deliberately censored by big tech. And as a result, Joe Biden won the election, and we'll never know whether the scandal, had it been properly allowed to permeate through social media, because it was all true, might have tipped the balance towards Donald Trump to serve a second term. And yet, ironically, Facebook, along with others, moved quickly to ban Trump himself from their platforms for 3 years. Well, currently, the Piers Morgan Uncensored Facebook page appears to have been shadow banned too. This is a regular occurrence where if they don't really like the look of some content, they just downplay it for the audience so that people don't see it. I don't think that's right. I think that's a form of censorship too. Meta makes $100 billion a year profit. It's time to invest less of it in sanitizing opinions and more on keeping children safe. And that applies to all those other platforms too.